Hello, everybody. We are live over on twitch.tv with some exciting new stuff today. I have been running a bit of a dual PC setup, mainly to eliminate lag that was happening in FL Studio. But with that, it was causing some trouble because my actual streaming PC was not the one running FL Studio. But I got a capture card, so you can now see in the top right. Oh, I'm over here, by the way. I'm like hiding. Yeah, you can actually see the full FL Studio window now. And I figured to mark the occasion, I will be going through my sort of songwriting, producing process when I try to write a new song. Yeah, and just kind of, now that you guys can actually see the full FL Studio window, it won't be so foreign when I'm saying the things that I'm doing. You can see them right in the top right. But with that announcement, I also want to plug really quickly my latest single, Dusty Young Stars. If you haven't checked that out yet, it's just on Spotify, Bliss Peak Music. One of my favorite tracks that I've done in a while. I'm thinking of doing a lyric video for it soon, so keep an eye out for that. But if you haven't listened to it yet, go ahead and take a listen to it now, or after the stream, or whenever you've got some free time. It's worth it. Beyond that, the single that I put out before then, In Line, is going to be accompanying Dusty Young Stars in my new album, which I suppose I can reveal the title now. It's going to be The Grand Machine. That is another track that nobody has heard yet, but potentially soon. I've got some artwork in the works for the album, and just kind of working on some, I guess, like marketing pre-work at the moment to make sure that it sort of gets the run it deserves. But I don't know, guys. I don't know the best way to describe this album. It's very, it's not chaotic. There's a through line, but the genres are kind of, it's got a little bit of a lot of my favorite genres mixed in. Like, there's a little bit of like chill wave, but then there's also a little bit of post-punk, and there's a little bit of kind of like a surfy vibe, but then there's also this sort of like synth wave thing that's going on. So, if you like any of those genres, well, I should say too, it's got this like psych rock feel to it, and this sort of neo psychedelia feel throughout. So, I think it's generally appealing, and I'm excited for everybody to eventually hear it. But for now, I'm going to go through how I like to write a song. And I don't think that you can, I don't know. People have their different processes. For me, I like either like a beefy bass line to start things off with, or like a good drum beat. So today, I was going to go ahead and start with some drums. I've got my single condenser mic set up for this right now. The dream is to have, the full dynamic drum mic set up so I can get these sounding super crisp, but, as a artist trying to do it all, you got to prioritize. So for now, I've got the single condenser mic, and it produces some pretty good results. It's the Blue Baby Bottle. Very nice, warm sound to the tone with this guy. You guys will hear it. One of the things that I like to do is record the drums very quietly. when you're in a kind of an open space like this, I find the quieter you're recording, the less noise that you're going to pick up. These condenser mics are pretty sensitive, and the one I have is lucky enough to have a negative 20 dB pad to it. And then on top of that, I'm not adding any gain or anything. We're just going to get the clean negative 20 dB recording with this mic. And you should be able to hear it. It's not like absolutely deathly quiet, but just quiet enough at least to where we shouldn't pick up too much noise. Now, I've got a sort of just basic bass kick line set up for the song already. If you prefer to use a metronome, you can do that, but I kind of like using just a kick drum set on every four beats or whatever. It's not that complicated. You're just trying to get some kind of metronome so that you don't lose your beat as you're recording. But let's get into the FL Studio side of things. Now, what you've been seeing this whole time is where I've got the microphone currently set up, and we don't want to record any of that. Oh, I turned the mic off too. Well, I should say, you want to do that when you actually record if you're doing something like this. I was just saying, this isn't going to be the beginner's guide to, how do I use FL Studio or anything like that. Like, this is strictly my songwriting process, like the flow that I've developed, kind of letting you guys see how I work in a sense. But yeah, maybe there will be a series of me kind of going through the ins and outs of FL Studio. But for right now, we're going to stick to this sort of basis of flow. And I like to start with drums, so we're going to do that now. All right. So now I can turn my speakers on. I should say these have to be off initially so that you don't get the feedback from the drums messing with the speakers in the mic. I'm already getting a little bit now because I've got two mics going. But now we're going to listen back. What? Yeah. Yes. Very quiet to start. No, thank you. I appreciate that. She was just making sure. She was like, it was really quiet. You like couldn't hear the drums. And I was like, yes, no, intended. Because now what we're going to do, we're going to assign this drum beat to its own track. I like track 10 just because it's like kind of in the middle of where I normally put things. And I like to imagine that the drum set's kind of like in the middle. But I don't know. We'll get to the mixing stage later. For now, what we're going to do is turn this way up so that we can actually hear what was played. And make sure we're not recording for this part. I'm going to turn the initial beat off that we were. But yeah, we can already hear there's some noise in there, right? Even just with me. But we're going to cut that out with a noise gate. I'm going to use one more limiter. I like to use the limiter, fruity limiter, just to add the initial gain to things. It's typically pretty clean. But we're going to get, you want your bass drum typically to be the loudest thing. So we're going to try to get this to a point where it's not clipping. Just a little bit of clean there. And then from here we'll add the noise gate to eliminate that sort of hum that we're getting. And yeah, this particular recording, if I weren't doing it live, I might even do it again. Because I am still picking up some ambient noise even with the decrease in volume. But what we're going to do now is we are going to listen and find our favorite sections. And then we're going to turn those sections into the beats as the basis of our song. I'm liking this right now. That was a little stutter there. You kind of want to make sure you're listening for the sections where you got everything on beat, everything sounds the way you would like to sound for consistent 4 measures, which I think we have here. Maybe even here. All right. Yeah, that was smooth. Okay, so actually, if it's smooth for 8, it would be better. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I like this section. So we're going to keep this. So we're going to take our recording and we're going to cut that piece out. We had 2 measures that sounded pretty good. Just gonna. You can change your settings in FL Studio to make this like snap in the right place, but I kind of got annoyed with that after a minute. So for right now, mine is not set to like any specific type of snapping. Which just means I got to take an extra second to line it all up right, but it's not a big deal. All right, so we've got our first 4 measures worth of beat. I'm gonna take the beat and we're gonna keep that, but we're going to continue to listen to the rest of this for right now, and see if we can find another good section that will be our sort of breaking point. We want it to be a little bit different than the initial beat. And when I'm recording the drums, I like to have 2 or 3 beats that I kind of go through, like progressive type stuff where you start with something simple and then as you kind of complicate it as you go, and that will make sure that you can have some progressive drums in your track as well. So we have kind of our initial beat, which sounds like this. Just a little bit of sticks hitting together there, but I didn't hate it. Stuff like that can add flavor, you know? Alright, and then yeah. What I was looking for there was in the transition between the two sort of cut sections that I have to make sure that it still sounded good. And I think it did. Alright, we're gonna throw this here. The beat might get off for just a second, but that's okay. Alright, so this is still essentially the same thing. So we're going to wait a little bit longer, maybe a minute or so in. I keep playing out of frame. It's okay. I remember near the end I changed it up a little bit, so I'm kind of waiting for that section. There we go. Just a little stick hit there. A little bit off there. That's okay. That was better. We're getting it there. We're getting it slowly. You know, don't beat yourself up if you're... You know, this is all improvised, and you're gonna make some mistakes. Some things are gonna be offbeat. That's okay. We're only gonna save the good parts. Unless we didn't have a good take on this one. That was good. Okay, so from here. I almost want to say this whole this measure here, but I like starting just a bit ahead. So we're gonna keep this section. And this one we're going to have run 4 times instead of twice, since we only did 4 measures there. So maybe even just a little bit before that. Let's see. Maybe from here. Yo, we got Josh in the house. What's up, Josh? I'm doing good. We are going through the FL Studio process and having a great time. I just got the drums tracked. I'm just trying to pick out the good pieces. Let's see. 710 things. Yo. I bet you if we all, like, took a second and, like, wrote down every individual thing that we've done today, it might just be 710 things. It just might be. Okay. So yes, we're gonna take this. And then we're gonna take 4 counts of that. Do-boop-doo. And this will be section 2 of the song. Whether that's a chorus, whether it's whatever you're gonna do with it. We're just gonna change the drums for this second part. Alright. Come over here. Alright, I'm gonna set this down for just a second. Keep your eye on the top right. We're gonna be turning this one thing into 4 things. Alright. A little bit of what I was doing there too is just making sure it was all sliced up cleanly so that we're not getting overlap and getting like double bass hits or anything like that. But once I've got this sort of essential pattern laid down of like the first section of the drums and the second section of the drums, I'm gonna copy all of it, which I'm gonna have to put my the mic down for again really quick. Hold on. I'm just gonna get real close. Yeah. While I do this. And this is now turned into the ASMR section of the stream. There's not a lot going on. Well, I shouldn't say that. We're copying what we have over to the ending of the song, because how I've got it laid out right now is there are 5 sections of 4 measures, which would typically be something like verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus. Ooh, a gooseneck would be really nice, actually. It's like, I have this stand, and it, like, is great for when I'm doing single mic stuff. But yeah, I do need 2 mic stands. Like, as I keep doing this, and other people out there, you will find, as you become a musician, the gear list is never ending. And once you feel like you have enough gear, that just means you haven't learned about the other gear that you need. And the people on Reddit and the internet will tell you what you need. Fear not. But from here, we have a whole set of drums and non-drums, some empty space that we are now going to eliminate our sort of kick pattern that we were following and fill with some fun. Now, I should say, when I'm doing the recording section stuff, I like to leave that sort of kick as like a metronome. Like FL Studio has a metronome. I don't know. I did this very early on, when I started doing this, and it's just been a habit of me making a bass metronome instead of using the built-in one. Just, I don't know, we all have our quirks, right? But eventually that section, I think, will have no drums, but for now, we gotta stay on beat while we're making the actual song. So, we have our drum line set up. It is audible. I think I am going to add a little EQ so we can eliminate a tiny bit of that hum. Just for right now. And for the people watching, you're going to have a different hum depending on your house. I tend to find that mine sits like a little bit above 600. So we're just going to bring that down a tiny bit. And that should help with the tiny bit of fuzz that we've been hearing on the drums. And yeah, normally I'll try to do 1 or 2 recordings of the drums just to try to get the cleanest take, but we're kind of going through a bit of a how I do it thing, so we're not going to do that today. But now I'm going to go hook up, I think we'll start with a bass guitar. Let's add a bass line to this and kind of take it from there. I like to just jam over the beat that I made and just play with it for a minute, and I kind of just repeat that process with each instrument at this point. You know, staying in the same key, doing the things that you would normally do in a jam session. But the fun thing about recording is you get to jam with yourself over time. So, let me go ahead and get the bass hooked up. And I don't know, I might give a brief overview of the pedals I've got so that you can sort of understand what's going on there, but yeah, I'll go set that up real quick. Here I've got my trusty Squire Bronco. Double checking. This was actually like one of the first musical instruments I ever owned. It was given to me by my mother. Shout out to Mom. And it's been hard to replace just because I've grown so attached to it. But let's see. All right, we're live. So, coming over here to the pedal board, we have an overdrive, the 385 from Walrus Audio, a fuzz pedal, Big Muff, the tone wicker version. I don't know, it's like a mix between a germanium and a silicone. Really good, like, options of tones, and the low end just super beefy. That all goes into a Super Phase Talent. It's my phaser pedal, which then goes into my Super Trem tremolo. I don't use the tremolo super often. It's very niche, but for the things that I do it on, it's so fun. We'll have to play with that later, so I can give you a better kind of idea of what that is. But that goes into a chorus ensemble boss. And all of that eventually feeds into my, I think it's a reverb. It's like I don't know, reverb. It's from Old Blood Noise. It's like a reverb delay, and it's got the reverse delay, and just gorgeous sounding reverb. With bass, we're not going to use that. I'm probably going to use the fuzz, just so we can get some really fat bass. Sometimes I go crazy, and I'll get the double gain with the overdrive in there, just to make it as sort of thick as possible. messing with the tone a little bit. I like how dark that is. And yeah, for a minute I'll kind of just mess with the tone. Might even be too fat. Because the thing is, when you get into this range, it's almost as if it's a synth, really. Which I don't mind. Let's even add some chorus to that. Ooh, yeah. That's some nice resonance on that. Wow. Okay. So, I'm going to bring the beat back. We're going to jam with that for a second. Oh. Oh. Hold on. Okay. Make sure that your whatever you're using to keep time is still on. I like this though. I don't know. We're in like C minor right now, I think. I could be totally wrong. But I like this. We're going to keep with it. And I'm going to just sort of jam a little bit more. I think it fits, though. I think it fits the beat we've got. Restart this. Go again. liking it without the fuzz. Bit more bass guitar-y. Let's get a recording down. I'm going to try... I think the first section we will stick without the fuzz. And then the second section, to add a little bit more beef, we will throw on the fuzz. But let's get a bass recording in. Okay. Gotta turn this off. Hold on. All right. I do think we are going to try this again, but with the fuzz on the second section. I was testing it out just to see if I liked it with this, but I think... Yeah, that's gonna be an easy cut, actually. One nice thing about bass, you don't got too much waviness going on, so you can make easy edits like this. So yeah, I'm gonna cut out the rest of what we got on this take for at least up to the end part, because we are going to up the ante with that fuzz. And let's see, did that cut well? How tight do we want to make this? Oh yeah, we can make it real tight. Okay. All right. One more time recording the bass, but with the fuzz. And then we'll kind of mix it down a little bit, make sure it's not overpowering anything else as we try to continue our recordings. And oh, it's a Kemet. He's decided he likes the track, and he's gonna come listen. Amazing. Cats, everyone. All right. I'm gonna turn this off again, and we're gonna get the fuzz. All right. I think that will suffice. So, do as I say, not as I do. You should not label your things. However, I am lazy and I don't like to label my things. I typically, when you keep the same strong song structure of like drums, bass, guitar, synth, whatever, I don't know. It will save you time in the future. You should do it. Do not be lazy like me. But we're going to set these on their own tracks. These bass lines that we just recorded. Probably keep them on the same track. Well, actually, we had fuzz on the second, so I will set that one to its own separate track. And we're going to bring the volume levels down a bit. Alright, we're going to start over. When you use overdrive, when you use fuzz, oftentimes you're going to find yourself pulling things back. Now, if you want to set yourself up for mixing stage, for mastering stage, what you'll do is you'll do your gain staging. So I like to use, again, fruity limiter for this. We're gonna get this up to a loudness where it's almost peaking. Typically you'll want to find like the loudest section of this recording. But here, once it's gain staged, we can actually come to the mixer, kind of reduce it. I might bring everything back for the mixing mastering stage up to the top. I don't typically love to do a ton of like EQ or, you know, any of the mastering stuff that you might normally do until I've got everything in. But at least for now, I kind of want to get the vibe of the song. So I'm going to take that bass and bring it down, maybe minus, I don't know. There's best ways for you to do this, and I'm not going to tell you like the specific decibels that you should bring it down by. But, you know, kind of listen to where your drums are at. Figure out how bassy you want it to be and kind of let it sit there. I think I want even less. So right now we're at about negative 7.6 dB. Oh, 69%. Perfect. We're leaving it there just for the sake of that coincidence. And we have been going for 53 minutes. And we already have a decent drum line. And I'd say a pretty decent bass tag. So I am going to take a quick break, hydrate up, let this play for y'all's enjoyment, and when I get back, we might add some guitar, we might add some synth. Kind of feeling like some synth would be sick on this, but they'll probably both end up being cool. But this is the fun part now. We got the bones in, so now we just get to jam with it. But yeah, enjoy this little setup, and we'll be back. think that sounds pretty good. For some bones of a song, I will take that any day of the week. I suppose now's the time for me to... Well, this is always where the paths diverge. Do I start with guitar? Do we add rhythm guitar? Do I start with synth? Do we add some pads? Do we add some airiness? Will we add a solo guitar later? Will there be synth solo later? This is kind of the flavoring part of the song making process. So, I think today we will start with some synthy stuff. We'll start with some synthy stuff and then we'll pull the guitar out. So I'm going to go get that set up and just kind of listen to this for a second. See what as you listen to songs, you kind of have an idea of guitar tones and synth tones that you like. And here I just kind of like to think about what kind of tones I want to throw on this thing. I know we were talking about some tremolo earlier. Some tremolo synth could be cool. But let's see what happens. Let me go get this ready. Alright, so I found a pad sound I like. I'm gonna just be flavoring this. Maybe we'll add another synth too, but for now we'll stick with the pads. And, oh, I hit something. Oh, it's my water. Okay, alright. So, with that, I'm going to turn this mic off. And at some point, I'm going to try... I think I might even just hit... Like, I liked what we had there. You don't have to complicate it. Like, sometimes you just get something that sounds good right away, and you stick with it. All right. So we have the drums, the bass, and I like that pad. Simple but provocative. Um, should we add another synth? I think we're gonna add another synth. Still kind of mid-rangey, because I think I'm gonna have the guitar come in and like add. You know, let's move to the guitar now. I've been liking these kind of dreamy chords, so maybe that will fit. Yeah, quick instrument change, but I like the pad. We're gonna listen to it here and see what we think. Maybe I'll have to change where it comes in. I might mess with that a little bit, but I don't hate that. turning on the fan. It's getting hot here. I don't know. Maybe the synth was the right way to go. We're gonna stick with this for now, because I think there's something there. But for now, aha! Hold on. Forgot an important step. The pad we recorded. Don't forget to set it to its own track. Alright. Back to dreamy guitar. Jaspy decided we needed a break. Oh man, I gotta love it. I was like, now I remember that part being in the bridge, but we're not in the bridge. Glad to see you sticking around, Josh. How's your day going, by the way? How you doing? I know we talked about it earlier, but my memory's terrible. Let's see. Oh no. Uh-oh. I am glad to hear that, man. Sweet. I'm also glad to hear that. Hold on. I think I just added some noise to the left input that I hope I can get rid of. Well, we might just have to let it be for the time being. Hopefully it's not too bad. I might take a break here in another 5 minutes once we get this guitar part down, and maybe I can take some time to try to fix it then, but hopefully it's not disruptive. For now, though, let's resume from that cat pause. like that. We're gonna add that on. All right. All right. I think that sounds good. So, depending on what you're trying to do, we have a pretty decent rhythm. We have a pretty decent bass. We've got a pretty bit, it's all pretty much there. The simplest form of the song exists right now. There is, and I mean, I could even take out the pad if I wasn't feeling it. But We've got the drums, we've got the bass, we've got the pad, we've got the guitar. I was recording the microphone, but that's okay. We can just get rid of that. So from here, this is where I'll try to think about guitar melodies, synth melodies. Do I want it to be more like a guitar hook? Do I want it to be a synth hook? Like, these are kind of the things I'm thinking about at this point. I think the guitar is already in a fairly high register, right? So, I think if we leave that where it is, we switch back to synth and have that sort of fill out like the mid to high range from here. I think that might be all the instrumental that this piece needs. You know, we can go crazy once we get to the production section. But in terms of the bones of the song itself, I think, we're pretty much there. Now, having said that, I'm going to let this play. I think, let me assign this to its own track. What have we filled already? This is a problem with how I do it. I think we're clean there. All right. So let's listen back and kind of see where this is all at. In the meantime, I'm going to take another quick fiver. And I should add some context. I've got my speakers on, and what you guys are hearing, I'm hearing too. And as I'm doing these breaks, I'm also kind of listening. And I think this is I don't know if it's an important part of my process or just an important part of the process, but, take a step away from it, listen to it. That's what I like to do, and just kind of hear out if there's any melodies kind of popping up to me that might sound good with this. At this age, I'll kind of listen to it once or twice, and I think, we've already decided on synth, which I do think is going to be good, but we'll be back. chill. Pretty chill. Now let's add some crazy synth to it. Synth it up. Alright. All right. I like that tubular bell. That was sweet. All right. I think it just needs a little bit of guitar in the solo fiddly type, and I think we're there. I think it'll be there. We've been doing pretty good. Been going for about 2 hours, hour 56 minutes, and we've already got something pretty good put together. Typically I would end the stream at 9 p.m. MST. But today, since we're just about there, I think what we'll do is finish up the guitar piece, and I'll do like a quick mix down of it. Uh, just adding some reverb and some stuff to some things that I want to, getting stuff leveled out. I think this tubular bell might end up on one side of your ears and the guitar on the other, so that they're not clashing too hard. But let's swap to the guitar, get that last piece down, and I mean, I think we already got a pretty sweet sound. So if we ended it here, that could even be fine too. But I think it's fun to overbuild at first, and then, you know, it's kind of like you're setting up a ball of clay, and each piece you're like adding on another chunk of clay, and like eventually you're going to be able to break it down. And if you want to remove pieces of it, you can, but you know, go all out at first, right? But yeah, let's get that guitar piece in, and then we'll take a look at everything. Alright. It took us a few tries, but I think I got something nice there. And so, we now have all of the pieces. And this is where we set our instruments down and we sit at our DAW for a potentially endless amount of time. But considering we are far over my typical runtime, I won't be able to get into the absolute full showdown of every little mixing thing that I do. But for starters, I want to add reverb to a few things. I'd like to EQ some things out. But I'm going to put this guitar down and we'll get into a little bit of that process. A little bit. Now if you're smart, you would label all of these and color code your mixer settings so that you know exactly where things are without having to do this little clicky checky thing. I believe 7 is open, so we'll just use that. Alright. So now, we'll listen to it, see what we got. Everything really quick. So that essentially just means bringing everything up to its maximum without peaking. Trying to get as much of that sound before we lower it in the mixer at all. Bear in mind, you might need to reduce the amount that you use after you add reverb and such. But I know that I want this guitar to be really far out, so I'm going to add some stereo separation. A lot. Probably like 70%. That's gonna push it out a little bit. I'm gonna come in here because we're getting a lot of noise from it. I'm gonna try and figure out where that noise is. It's about 500, we're getting some here. I know we're getting some on the rhythm guitar. A little bit there. Lower that a little bit. Just a little bit though. We're not trying to lose the tone of anything. I want to add some reverb to that rhythm guitar too. I think we'll even let the rhythm be like 33% separated. Push it out a little bit. Everything except for the drums. We want to be a little pushed out. here. Reverb sounded good on the rhythm. I think I wanted a little bit of reverb on the main lead guitar too. We were saying that a second ago. Increase that size. Bring that separation out. And that's already starting to sound a little better, right? On these two. We don't want to fight too hard with the guitars. Just to be little filler bits here and there, right? So yeah, that just got crazy crackly, right? So at that point we're going to take a little bit of the gain away from what we've just added. Is it our lead guitar that's so crackly? Alright, already a little better. Bring that bass back up a little bit. I think if we add some reverb to the... Well, let's bring this out of the middle. We have that set at like 50%. Let's reverb this too. Just to let everything mesh a little better. You've already got reverb on your pedal setup. I find it helps to get rid of some of the earlier reflections. Keep in mind where your delay settings are at. If you want the bells and the rhythm guitar to really have a long decay, but that lead guitar can probably be even quicker. Now with drums, it's always good to add a little compression. I like Maximus. I just like how you can separate the different bandwidths. So if I want the kick to be a little better, I can just go to the lows. Still losing a little bit of pop though. There we go. One more EQ behind still get that boomy kick. A lot of mud that you're gonna get in your drums is about 200 hertz too. So cutting out that just a bit also adds a bit of a, what is it called? Like a jump thing or whatever. I can't remember the term. But if you lower the volume of a frequency below the one you want to go, the one that you want is a little bit pronounced. And just above that is where our snare's gonna hit. So that's gonna make it pop. I think at this point we can also take out our drums here and really let this be more of a bridge. Yeah, that sounds good. Kind of like a midnight dreamscape, if you will. So I can see now, just looking at the main, that our kick is peaking. So we probably added a little bit too much low here. Scale it back just a bit. Ladies and gentlemen, is the songwriting process. Well, 2.5 hours in, I'd say that's pretty good. Now, the one thing that I will say about this is it's very possible to have more intent going into it. If you have a specific lick or anything that you think sounds good, you can start with that and build off of it too. I tend to prefer like improvisational writing, kind of feeling things out, and you kind of saw it there. Like I would do one take and then another take and then another take, and each take is getting progressively more at least to me, it progressively begins to fit further into the music that is already there. And, if you give yourself a good drum beat and a good bass line, you very much just can kind of have fun with it from there. So, hopefully this was interesting to get to see the process. What you're not going to see is months of me listening to this over and trying to figure out lyrics, or going through the mix a few times and trying to kind of get things dialed in to where it's not as noisy, things aren't fighting with each other as much. But kind of like I said, like this part of the process is you're kind of lobbing clay onto the easel, and then when we get to the mixing and mastering stage, that's where we're going to cut away from it. And at the end of the day, I think we got a cool sound, and I think that's all we strive for at the end of the day as musicians. So I am going to go ahead and end this section of the stream. I think we've done something cool. I might do something like this type of format in the future. Really, I'm hoping to use my looper pedal more and kind of get more used to using that so that I can actually get into more of the live setting stuff. But at least on the Twitch, we don't necessarily have any rules we have to follow, so we can do fun things like this every now and then. And considering you guys now have the full view of the FL Studio window, I thought let's go through the process while people can see it. And yeah, I probably glanced over a few pieces here and there of what I was doing, but at the end of the day, you can see we got something cool. So thank y'all for being here. I am going to throw up the sort of thanks for watching panels and let this play. I might sit here for like another minute or two and try and dial in the drums a little bit. I could tell when we would move to the next beat, it was kind of like clicking or something. But not that that is a terrible thing, but we want to try to get that as smooth as possible. Hey, thanks, Josh. It's great having you here. Appreciate the kind words. And yeah, I like what we ended up with too. I don't know. I always love that aspect of recording where you can just kind of, at least once you have all the tools and once you at least sort of know what you're doing, you can kind of just go through different improvs with yourself and see where you end up at the end of the day. There's this quote from B.B. King. I think I might have mentioned this to you when you were hanging out with me, but it's sort of like, well, or maybe the first time we were hanging out, but he was kind of saying how he was frustrated with his recordings because none of them stood up to some of his like live jam sessions. And so, I don't know, that partially inspired the type of stream content we do. Jaspy is, of course, camera bombing us all. Thank you, Jaspy. Hopefully we don't get banned for this. But, all right, everybody. Thanks for watching, and have a great night. Yo, shoutouts, Josh. Thanks for the Prime sub. I gotta forget I forget that I can get those. Sorry to assault your ears there. But thank you. Shoutouts to the Prime sub. Shoutouts to Josh. He was here last time, guys. He's a great person. Check him out.